Hi everyone, welcome to the course on electrical system design. In the first module of electrical system design, we will be discussing on Indian standards related to the various electrical work, its installation and its operation. We'll also be discussing on the various standards related to the voltage and frequency and also the building services. So in order to discuss about the Indian standards, first we have to start with the organization which is providing the standards for the different products, and that is nothing but the Bureau of Indian Standards established by the Government of India. So it is a body, statutory body, which is working on the matters concerning to standardization, certification and quality. The basic example which you can look into is nothing but your ISI mark, which you see on the certain products which you buy. That is nothing but a standard which is based on the quality of that particular product. Now, the major objectives of the Bureau of Indian Standards is to have a harmonious development of activities of standardization, marking, and quality certification. So, ISI mark is nothing but a mark which is given based on the quality of that particular product, which ensures that it has followed all the standards related to the standardization while manufacturing that particular product. It also provides a new thrust of standardization and quality control. And it also specifies the method of test, what are the codes of practices to be followed, basic terminologies, and the basic standards. So any kind of IS standard book, when you are referring, it will have the particular product specification, the method of test which is to be followed that particular product in order to ensure the quality, what are the codes of practices, what are the basic terminologies which is discussed in that particular book, and the basic standards. So in effect, it is providing a standardization formulation for the various services or the products. Now, all these standards are made keeping in view to ensure certain things. First one is the safety of the person who is using that. Second one is the ease of use and adaptability. Adaptability is nothing but how it is able to work in different kind of environments. Then it should be of simple technology, and it should have the value of money. The amount of money which you are putting should not go in vain. So it should ensure the value of money, and also it should also focus. The standards also focus on two major criteria, that is on energy efficiency and environment. That is very less effect to the environment or less harmful to the environment. Now all these Bureau of Indian Standards, in order to come up with the standardization procedure, they will be having different technical departments will be there. There will be different technical departments will be there. And all the standards related to the electrical systems, electrical power generation, transmission, distribution and utilization of equipment, insulating materials, all these are being discussed by the electrotechnical division of the Bureau of Indian Standards. So the technical department behind all the standards related to the electrical is by the electrotechnical department. There are various other technical departments like related to civil, construction, everything is there. Now they will be publishing the standards, and time to time they will also update the standards, because these standards, it might have been originated in the year 1989 or 1987, 1982, like that, and year on year there will be some kind of additions will be there, and that modifications are also added to the Indian standards from time to time. Now the basic codes related to electrical systems is being discussed over here. The first one is IS 3043. That is the code of practice for earthing. In order to earth a particular equipment, or in order to provide earthing in a building, what are the practices to be followed, or what are the standards to be followed to ensure that the system works properly? So that is being discussed in the IS code 3043. Similarly, IS 732 is a code of practice for electrical wiring installations. So while doing the wiring in a particular building or an industry, what are the practices which has to be followed so that it ensures the safety and ease of operation of the users. Similarly, IS 2309 is basically protection of the buildings and allied structures against the lightning. And IS 2675 is for the specification for the enclosed distribution fuse boards and cutouts for voltages not exceeding 1000 volt in AC or 1200 volt in DC. IS 52616 has two parts are there. Part 1 is related to general and part 2 is related to the life-saving techniques, that is the safety procedures which has to be followed in an electrical work. So first we will be discussing on the what is being seen in an IS book. We will be looking at, that is Indian standards, how a book will be looking like, and we will be seeing what are the factors on which IS 3043 is built upon. So first we will be discussing on the IS standard 3043. So it generally mentioned it as IS 3043 1987. That is, it is being introduced in the year 1987, and various revisions and amendments comes into this code of practice. So it is a code of practice for earthing, and this is the first page of the Indian standards books related to the IS 3043. So it is basically trying to the methods that may be adopted in an electrical system for the purpose of earthing the particular system. So it is being applied only to the land-based installations and does not apply to the ship's aircraft or offshore installations. So every IS standard, it will specify that it is being applicable to these kind of areas or these kind of voltage levels like that mentioning will be there. And the IS 3043, it has various sections are there. The section 1 is nothing but a general guideline. So there we'll be discussing about the terminologies which is being used in that particular IS standard book, which are what are the statutory provisions, and like that it is being discussed in the general guidelines. And next one is the connections to the earth, that is the section 2. Under that various sub chapters are there, where it will be calculating about what is the earth resistance and how the electrode has to be arranged, that the earthing arrangement, how it can be done, then the current density, the voltage gradient, all these things are being discussed in the connections to earth. In the section 3, it is related to the earth fault protection in the consumer's premises. What are the steps to be carried out in the consumer's premises in order to have a protection? And the fourth section is related to the power station, substation, and overhead lines. That is how the earthing is being implemented in the power station and other entities. Section 5 is related to the earthing in the industrial premises. Section 6 is related to the standby and other power generating plant. That is, you can just refer to a standby diesel generator, how the earthing has to be done. It is being discussed in the section 6. Section 7 is related to the medical establishments, how the earthing has to be done in the various medical facilities. Section 8 is related to the static and lightning protection, grounding, how it has to be done in order to have the earth protection. Section 9 is related to the miscellaneous installations, that is in the hazardous areas, in the mines and quarries, how it has to be done, then the street lights, all these things are being discussed in the section 9. And section 10 is related to the various measurements and calculations related to the earthing procedure. And section 11 is on the data processing installations. So how it has to be done at a data center, how the earthing has to be carried out in the data center is being discussed in the section 11. Now we'll be seeing the statutory provisions as per IS 3043. So it mentions that the earthing should be carried out in accordance with the requirement of the Indian electricity rules. So the electricity rules are being published by the government of India, and earthing shall be in accordance with the requirements of the Indian electricity rules. And all the medium voltage equipments shall be earthed by two separate and distinct connections with the earth. So the medium voltage equipment should have two separate and distinct connections with the earth. The earth electrode shall be provided at the generating station, at the substation, and at the consumer premises. and all the earth connections shall be visible for inspection if possible. And all the earthing system shall be implemented that the testing of the individual earth electrode is being possible. So at any instant of time, you need to test your electrode. That provision should be available, and there should be a drawing of that particular earth system. The same way when you are building a house, you should have a plan. The same way where the earth electrodes are being implemented has to be there in the drawing so that it is easy for inspection, and if any kind of problems occurs, it will be easy for the person who is looking into that. And all the materials, fitting, etc. used in electric shall conform to the Indian standard specification. Now there are different classifications of earthing systems are there. The first one is your TT system, second is IT system, and third one is TN system. So all these things you can just imagine about the source, and you have your consumer. So all these classifications are based on how the earthing is provided at the source, whether at the consumer side or at both ends, and those classifications are made with respect to the TT, IT, and TN systems. So we'll be discussing all these TN, IT, and TN systems in a separate video lecture. Now we will have a snapshot of the IS standard book. How we can read that IS standard book, we will be just discussing it now. So what you see over here is nothing but an Indian standard code of practice for earthing IS 3043. So this is not the latest one. However, it is a fourth reprint in June 2007, and it is published by the Bureau of Indian Standards. And there will be various kind of amendments which comes into picture in the case of an IS standard from time to time. And so whatever the amendments, what are the changes which has to be done on the initial IS standard book will be mentioned at the first pages. So the first pages, it is the amendment number 1. So it changes any kind of clauses, it has to be changed, it will be mentioned over here. Then this is again another amendment in January 2010. So it mentions that what are the clauses has to be changed. That is in the page 17. There's a sub clause has to be introduced, and that is mentioned on the initial pages. And it will be having the various diagrams which has been inserted to that particular subclause. And first of all, I have discussed about who is doing the standardization procedure for the electrical systems. It is nothing but an electrotechnical division committee, the various members related to that. And this shows the contents. So it has the forward, scope. In the section 1 is general guidelines, the terminology. Terminology is nothing but what are the various kind of words which is being used in this particular IS standard book is given at the beginning. So these are the various sections in the IS standard book on IS 3043. So it mentions the scope. First it is scopes. We have already discussed that, to which what is being discussed, or it gives the guidance on the methods that can be adopted to an earthing system. So that is a scope, and it also mentions to which it is applicable. That is, it is basically applicable to the land-based installations. Now it discusses about the various terminologies. So what are the terminologies which is being used in all these in the entire book is being discussed over here, so that any part which you are reading, if you have any doubts on what does that indicate, you can again come back to the terminology, and it has a basic definition on the matter which is being discussed. So this is how we can then various figures. Then it has the type classification and systems based on the types of system earthing, that is the TN systems, TT systems, IT systems. Okay. Thank you.